Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 6th of August, and well, yeah, I said we would fill it. This is what we get when we follow through. So we had 28.16. We ended the day 28.20, and then as soon as futures opened up, more selling came through. So the potential for retracing all the way down to our full target here, which is the bottom low here down at 27.35, is well within reach. Of course, we talked about this up here when we first got our sell signals, and it was slow coming. And once we broke that ABM, and you saw my short at the 30-10 range coming off of this day right in here, which was what, just 4 points shy of the actual high of the day, and boom, and it just cascaded through. There was nothing to do. There were just the briefest of pop signals that really weren't all that interesting to even capture. We'll take a look at it. Well, actually, we can look at the 50K from the broader standpoint. I mean, this is just a beautiful indication of that straight on decline going all the way through. This is the DOC spread without a steel reset, and you can see it all the way through, and you got exactly that. The places where you can get violations of that steel reset are meeting points between green and cyan, where you would then have green move above. So each time they met, cyan rejected it. This is where you would see these X's come through, where the potential's right there, and nope, rejected within a couple of bars. Same thing happened right here, which is why we wouldn't even be interested in this configuration when it happened earlier today as far as a buy. I mean, it did produce a brief pop within the overall sell range, but you can see that very quickly the Azure right here met the gold, and that continued the trend lower, because that's usually the tip-off point. But we already knew it because you already had the rejection here, and then you had full crossover of the steel. When that steel crosses below the cyan again, then boom, you know you're headed for lower. And this is on a 50K, so this was pretty clear. The other thing I'm always looking for, on particularly on the 50K, when I get this far down, usually you're looking for some kind of a build back when you're in this deep a negative, but you can see we never even got yellow crossover until right about here it started, but it was so far below. I thought there was some optimism when we got to above negative 13.5, but when it reaches the negative 13.5 on the red DOC, green's got to be over cyan for that to make the move. And this is part of the program that I'm currently doing that will show that, and it didn't happen. So this continued fall off well within expectations. So beautiful. And the nice thing about it is no surprise. So this is all of through almost June, the entire run completely retraced in what, less than a week, 5 trading days, 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be the 5th. So that's how easy, and this is exactly what we talked about, how easy it would go, and very quickly. I mean, I've always talked about markets falling 2/3 faster than they rise, but this one was clear, and this one happened even before the whole China tariff thing that just compounded it, because it took place secondarily within this day. Another thing to watch for too is also when you have yellow below blue. Never going to be a buy in that configuration, ever. Just saying. So, don't even have to think about it yet. And from an NQ standpoint, likewise, pretty close to the same relative nature of things. It's still above the 23, where the S&P just dipped below it in the post-market. Nothing more to add to that. That's just fine what it is. And again, this is the currency war. I almost put a Zero Hedge article that was talking about this whole thing with China and them allowing the yuan to go below a key support level at 7 there, and they have to, because the tariffs are going to eat into any activity they've got, and their threats with not buying U.S. goods. And then, of course, you know, you throw in the accidental and coincidental nature of North Korea all of a sudden launching projectiles as soon as this kind of heat up took place, and then you follow it along with Hong Kong taking place. There's a lot going on. So this is why gold is going to continue, because those in the bigger scene are recognizing that this has much bigger geopolitical plays than just what the U.S. is doing with China, as well as the EU. And the EU, this is where the euro, we talked about it, the Fed was certainly going to defend the euro and try and prop it up, just as a bolster to try, but it didn't have any effect whatsoever on stopping it. And that's the thing, when the Fed wants this to move back, it's going to, and we already knew that was going to take place. So no shock with any of that. Oil's not going to do anything, not really relevant at this point, but gold certainly spiking on that, and that well within our expectations for what we expected that to happen. Given the situation, this is central bank buying of gold. So look at this mess from a 5K standpoint. So I pointed out this 1, 2, 3 from the short standpoint, and then also the failure that took place right here. And I'll go ahead and increase the size of this because this is ridiculous. It's just that showed you the volume of the day was so dramatic. So I put these up and put them on the Skype chat for everyone to see, and pointed out the failure even at the bottom. So yes, this was still a buy within the configuration of what we look for, and it did exactly what it should do. It just failed to complete, and this is that, like we just mentioned, even on a daily, that cyan meets green, and you've got to have the green take a strong move, breaking into new zone. I would have expected to see the DOC red break into the negative 7.5 for that to continue. Even if I wanted to wait an extra bar just to see if it was going to happen, you could have, but not even breaking the 23% in this case. And so then that began the cascade of the day, and the rest is, as they say, not even history, because it was just pretty straightforward. I'm just going to keep enlarging this because it was such a dramatic. It makes it impossible to even garner any visual on it. So with all of these, we had this decent improvement in the shakeout. So even within this, there was those trying to still buy up everything because it wasn't all dipping to super negative on a shakeout. They just were not able to handle the volume of selling that was taking place. And then by the time we got towards the end of the day, there was just a capitulation, and that led to another lack of buyers as well as a big groundswell. And so we had this single move that started here with the reset that got us up to near this falling high 100%, which wasn't a whole lot of a move, and then it just broke down because you had the rejection, and boom, that led to the next wave. And so you can see what happens without this steel reset, where green overtakes and holds on, and it's got to be within a reasonable 5 or 6, 7 period before it to happen in order for it to sustain it. So it becomes kind of easy for us to be able to see how these rallies are not going to support themselves, even though you get like the proper signal right here. It gets close and rejects, and you know that the time is limited on that. You can wait for the steel to cross the cyan, in which case it looked like it was going to do it here, and it delayed it until right about there, and then it made a little brief pop, did it again, boom, and that cascade led to a much greater drop. And then we had a nice brief little pop when we had the reset over here, and that actually again led to another move back up to the 100%. And then it was just a matter of, well, the DOC popped in right here, came across this one. See how it sustained itself because the green stayed over it. It hung on and then started to cascade, because once the red rolled over, and then you started to have the cyan rise, you had steel cross below from a negative standpoint. And in this case, you didn't get red even dip below, steel dip below red. So that's much more problematic, and you know that those are not going to do well at all. And so that was very clean and very obvious from that standpoint. So we'll increase the size of that so it becomes even clearer, so you can see when the market reopened from a future standpoint, boom, it just continued. So now we've come down to these other previous algos, and I don't know if you remember these numbers, 2790s were popular. for quite a while, so we may see some significant, but even if we do, once the steel comes back down here, it's going to fade again, and so it's going to have to rebuild over time a little bit, and we'll see if it catches any value buyers, because now you've had a significant move from 3,000 down to 27.90. That could be interesting to some other people, or they may just want to hold off for a little bit and see if they can get even better, because from the daily and everything else, there still wasn't significant buying to suggest that we're going to have any other excitement. So I think it was just a beautiful timing. The increase in the volatility and everything just worked beautifully for our expectations to start the month. We had that big giant up day going in for the start of the month, and then to have this happen right in timing with what we could see from our sell signals, and that fluidity of being able to flip and see it coming. It's so nice. So hopefully everyone enjoyed that, and even if you didn't take advantage of being short, at least if you were able to get out and be done, then you can wait for this kind of reset just to save equity. That's what it's all about. So as always, though, I will put up anything that's relevant, but this is all just super clean, so very nice. The algos are just spot on. Can't complain about it one bit. As always, though, trade well, and we will talk again later.